So, speaking to a church missions committee, liberation theology is a theology based on basically, just to use the words, liberating people from oppression. When there's a political stance, a political party, and government of a country or of some people that is oppressing them with their way of governing, maybe like communism or what have you. The liberation theology sometimes even kind of attests to like a socialist society. They might prefer that in a sense of really looking after those of the weak, those of the poor and needy, those that are afflicted and oppressed. So liberation theology is a theology that empowers people to fight against those countries' policies that are oppressing people, that are really keeping people down, even to some radical extent of killing people by having terrible working conditions. Just poverty is prevalent there in countries that are oppressing people, where liberation theology is typically at force, at odds, and so it's a theology that empowers the people to begin to enlighten them. It's been known to enlighten them as far as educating them in different ways. In South America, educating the people, being passive, different ways of protesting in this sense. And so it's really a theology to even grab Christian principles, beliefs, and practices and implementing it into society in order that it's a societal harmony through Christian practices. But there's some very radical liberation theology that has been used in South America that we've read this week that seems to be taking up arms, taking up guns, and warring against communist parties and political parties and dictators that are over countries that are oppressing them, or oppressing people. And so it is when a Christian brings out a theology by using the Word of God to justify their actions, whether they're passive, as I said, or they're using education, using certain tacts to infiltrate, subvertently infiltrate, or come under the authorities to fold them over and seek change in the society. And so it's a practice that should still be studied. It is something that needs to really be well evaluated biblically. As far as how does Christians, personally, I think of Paul when he was before the courts through the Roman Empire. He followed the laws. He said, "I'm a Roman citizen. You should treat me as such." He didn't just use those laws to his advantage, which he did, but he used them because he's supposed to be a man above reproach. And so I think liberation theology can miss those characteristics of a Christian and leave them out sometimes because of such a passion for fellow humans that it kind of overrides the whole canon teaching of who a Christian should be regarding a party of people that are oppressing people, that are oppressing human beings. liberation theology is very humanistic. It's really looking after the human condition, the human rights, and so it's something that needs to be debated and looked after, and so I personally think that there's a different way, rather than these radical movements by taking up arms or being passive, or just simply kind of passive but educating, being quiet but educating the people, which I can agree with, but I feel that there's another extent that can be gone, another measure that can be taken, and that's through really just the peace and tranquility that we have in Jesus Christ. Not so much a force against the oppressor. Jesus is our justifier, and he will do such regardless of the timing and placement. So yeah, thank you. That's liberation theology.